Hi guys, welcome to Watch Party FC. Now, the first one felt like a joke when I started this thing. It felt like I'm just trying something out, right? Well, I just decided to carry on with this joke and see how far it's gonna go and if I'm gonna be able to humor myself. So, look, it's a big one coming up. The Soweto Derby is no doubt probably the biggest sporting event in the country, in Southern Africa, probably one of the biggest on the continent and in the world. When Kaizer Chiefs plays against Orlando Pirates, everybody knows about it. It doesn't even matter what sport you follow. It doesn't matter what race you are, what your age. So as we are in that derby fever, I thought to myself, there are many things that make this thing such a big deal. Yes, it's a clash of the titans. But the other thing is that it's an entertaining game because it's about rivalry. Abantu base Orlando, abantu base Phefeni, the people who are all for the Bucks, the people who are all for the Kosi. It literally is a rivalry like nobody's business. So it makes it very interesting because it's always about who won the derby this time around. It doesn't matter whether it was a cup final, whether it was in the league. Like, what I've noticed is that it doesn't matter. So now, because this is such a big game, surely this is going to be entertaining. You can't be watching a Soweto Derby and then still have time to go to the bathroom. Like, you want to be watching the game and think twice before you land hey, if I leave for 2 seconds, somebody's going to score. Which then brings me to the reason why I want to talk about the derby this time around. Because my biggest problem with the derby is the fact that we don't see a lot of goals. We see big games, El Clasicos, Real Madrid against Barcelona. The one can beat the other one 5-0. We've seen in England big, clashes of the Titan, the Manchester derbies, you name it, big goals. But when it comes to the derby, man, 1-0, 1-1, not 2-1. Very seldom where you're going to see Pirates just like beating Chiefs 5, clean. You know what I'm saying? You're never going to see Kaizer Chiefs winning by 6. Young tall. So that for me says that as much as the derby has all the hype and everything else, but the one thing that I feel it doesn't have enough of is the goals. We need more goals. And it also got me thinking about the reason why anybody watches a game. Yes, it's for the result, but it's also the goals. Now, I want to take you through a couple of things. Now imagine, because I'm now thinking about the fans, right? I leave Cape Town to come and watch the derby. I catch a plane or even a bus. Yeah? Sometimes I drive. I leave KZN to come to Joburg and watch the derby at FNB Stadium. I leave Limpopo and I'm probably going to do an in and out because, Limpopo people don't mind driving like in and out Joburg, right? I might need accommodation if I'm staying over somewhere in Joburg. Maybe I'm going to book a hotel. Maybe I'm going to stay at a relative's house or at a friend's house. I'm going to need to eat. I'm going to need to move. And then I'm going to need to get to the stadium. And I'm going to need to make sure that when I'm in the stadium, I've got the money to buy a drink, the money to buy food. I need to have the data so that I can post videos and pictures. So what I'm trying to say is fans put a lot of effort into getting to the derby. They risk their lives when they're on the road. They risk their budgets when they have to travel. Okay? It's a lot. So when you get into the arena and there's maybe 90,000 of you in there and it's packed to capacity, and then you get to the end of the game and you've gone through all of that, which I've just explained, for 1-0. I mean, is that really is that value? Yes, you were there. It's the experience and you were there, but were you actually there to get the thing that you're looking for? I wonder. And I often find that when I go to the derby, it's very seldom where I've gotten there and there's like 5 goals. There is one game that I went to where it was a 5-goal thriller. And I'm going to talk about that game in just a moment because I've actually got some games here that I've just put on my tablet that I want to go through because we have to talk about the goals at the derby. We have to talk about the fact that true entertainment is when 2 boxers are swinging. Imagine being in a boxing match and then nobody lands a punch. Or maybe it's one punch landed, but every time we're blocker. No. We need a jab in there. We need an uppercut. You need to feel that right hook. There must be that ooh. So it's the same thing with goals. So you can comment in the comment section, because as somebody that has followed the Soweto Derby, do you feel that the Soweto Derby doesn't produce as many goals as other big games, whether it's a Chiefs playing Sundowns or Sundowns playing Pirates? And what are the reasons? Why? Is it because the teams are afraid of losing? Is it because the players freeze when on the pitch? The pressure. You're a young relay there. And you're like, everybody's watching me. You're a young Dushabalala. And you're thinking of the last game, Umesile. Now people are expecting you to score in this game. And all of that pressure, and everybody else, and the media, and the hype, and the social media, and the banter, and the family, and the friends, everybody's talking to you. And now you're the one on the pitch. You're one of 22 players on the pitch. And that pressure is just too much. And because that pressure is too high and too much and too loud, it doesn't bring out the things that we're looking for in a game. Now, I'm not saying that players don't have big match temperament. They do. And we've seen it. And some of the goals that I want to go through today actually will prove that. Mara, at the end of the day, I just feel like there's something that is missing in the derby, and it's definitely the amount of goals. Now, if you look at the history books, for example, we've had games where there have been 10 goals scored in a derby, right? The last time that happened was somewhere in the 70s. I think the score was 7-3, as I'm told. But then you fast forward to like 1998, where there were 6 goals. It was a 5-1 result. 6 goals scored in the derby. And you're thinking to yourself, imagine going to a derby in present day and witnessing a 6-7 goal thriller. I mean, that will live through the ages. People are going to be etching their names in history. Players are going to be remembered forever. So that's what I'm talking about. The last time that the two sides met, Pirates actually won. Ne? And Tito Maswanganyi scored that goal. And I'm going to talk about that goal, and we'll have a look at that goal in just a moment, because in the end, the score was only 1-0. And I was there. I was there when that goal was scored. And it was scored maybe in the 90th minute or something like that. Clutch moments. But it was 1-0. I'm like, no, man. I don't understand this. So maybe you have an idea of why the derbies don't produce so many goals. Please drop your comments and let's see what you have to say about that, because I can theorize the whole day. What I do want to do, though, is go through a couple of goals here, because I'm sitting here thinking, if Pirates can beat Chiefs 5-1 in 1998, right? Why can't the same thing happen again? Or why can't Chiefs score 4 clean with no goal in reply from Pirates? There are a couple of things here. I look at, for instance, maybe in the last 5 games that the two sides have played, cup games, okay, Pirates has won 3 of those. And in all those games, it's by fine margins. It's fine margins. Yabon. In the last 10 games, both teams have kind of won 5 times each. So it's pretty balanced when you look at the last 10 games in the league. But then you look at the goals. There aren't a lot of goals. There is a match, though, where there were 5 goals scored. Ne? And in this game, it was probably one of the most memorable experiences for me, because I was at the stadium. And I was just like, wow, this is it. You come to FNB Stadium. Ibile, that time I'm rolling with a friend of mine who's a Pirates fan. And we're sitting together in the booth. And we're just watching the goals fly in. And the final result was 3-2 to Kaizer Chiefs. And I was just like, but this is it. There was one game, though, where I witnessed 5 goals. Kaizer Chiefs won 3-2. I remember rolling with a friend of mine who's a Pirates supporter. And we were just watching the goals in. And it was spectacular. And it's not something that I've ever experienced in my lifetime, where I watched a Soweto Derby with 5 goals, right? And of course, on that day, fortunately, Kaizer Chiefs won. It was 3 points in the bag. Now, there were some notable scorers in that game. And I wanna actually look at my favorite goals in the derby, because that also kind of speaks to the thing I was talking about big match temperament, where players are going to come out and really show who they are. I also want to look at the goals that I felt are going to be remembered forever. Like, for example, imagine scoring an own goal. Imagine scoring an own goal in a Soweto Derby. First of all, where are you going to sleep? Because you're not going back home. If you score an own goal in a derby, nobody at home wants you to come back. Huh? Your friends are not going to answer your calls. You know what I mean? The restaurants are not going to let you in. So where are you going to go? But it happened. Okay? There've also been hat-tricks in the Soweto Derby. And there's a certain player, an iconic player, that actually managed to pull that off. So maybe let me start with the own goals. I mean, Olisenda of Orlando Pirates scored an own goal against Kaizer Chiefs. Do you remember this goal? Now, imagine, in the end, adding insult to injury, Chiefs won that game because of an own goal. Now, if you are a player and you prepare, you train every day, you're preparing for the game psychologically, physically, the coach is, dishing out tactics. Everybody's got an opinion on the sidelines. The pundits on TV are saying whatever, false nine, holding midfielder. All of that, building up to the game. And then there you are, a criminal. And you score an own goal. I can't even imagine what Nda was feeling after that game. And I feel for him. I feel for any player that scores an own goal. You can score an own goal against any other team. Against Amazulu, against Stelis, whatever. But you can't score an own goal in a derby. Like, that is criminal. And I think if my memory serves me correctly and my trivia, there were probably all in all about 11 own goals that were scored, in derby games. So it's obviously not something that happens often, but it happens. On the flip side, you've got heroes like Legs of Thunder, Jerry's Kosana. The only player that I'm aware of who was able to score a hat-trick in the Soweto Derby. I don't know if there was anyone else. You can correct me, because I haven't lived that long to have watched Ace Ntweleng score goals and whoever else. I don't remember the goals that Max Mapunyani scored when I was little. But I remember Jerry's Kosana's hat-trick in a Soweto Derby. And for me, he's like the only player that's ever done it. But like I said, correct me in the comments if you wish to. And I'm sitting here thinking, who in present day can score a hat-trick in the Soweto Derby? Is it Ndu Shabalala? Is it Rile Mufokeng? Is it going to be an Ashley Dupree? Is it going to be Vilagazi? I mean, who is going to score a hat-trick in the derby? Is Oswin Apollos the kind of player who could score a hat-trick in a derby? I mean, I don't know. And my thing is, why? Why is it so difficult to even have another player since Jerry's Kosana scoring a hat-trick? Or am I sitting here making football feel like it's easy? Like you can just go in there and score a hat-trick. No, it means it's a special thing. It means you're a special player if you can do that. So, of course, whether you're on the side of Pirates or Chiefs, nobody wants to see an own goal unless it's in your favor. But more importantly, everybody would love to see a player score a hat-trick, because that is just something. So I would love to see hat-tricks in derbies going forward. Let's see what happens. Okay, now, there are a couple of goals that have stood out for me in the Soweto Derby. Ne? And this is in no particular order, because I don't want to fight with people. Although, I think when you look at all these goals that I'm going to go through, I think you and I will agree which goal is like the ultimate goal as far as the Soweto Derby. So, Yusuf Maart scores an absolute peach. It's like a long-range shot. You remember it, ne? This one, like literally from the halfway line, the guy realizes that the Orlando Pirates goalkeeper Umponchan is off his line. I don't know where he was going, but he's off his line. Maybe we go to shy in Kauza or want to shy something. We don't know. So Matt realizes this, and he's like, okay, I'm going to be a long range shooter in the SANDF. I'm going to show this guy what I can do. And he smacks it. And that ball goes quite a distance. And you can work out that distance, right? From that halfway line in his own half all the way into the Pirates' goal. And that ball goes straight in. It might have been goal of the season, if I'm not mistaken, but that was the most iconic goal that I think a lot of us in recent memory as Kaizer Chiefs supporters have seen any Chiefs player score. Because more often, we don't want players shooting from there. Because sometimes we don't trust our players in the PSL. It's like, this guy's going to shoot from wherever. Like, this guy's not going to score. But there he was. He did it. I know he's a very spiritual man, and I'm pretty sure he thanked, the one above for that goal as the reason he did it. I don't know who said what to him before the game. I don't know if he had beef with Mbonchane. I don't know. But something came over him, and he produced an absolute beauty. Anywhere in the world, take Maart, put him in the EPL with the same goal, he's going to make headlines. Put him in La Liga with that same goal, he's going to make headlines. Put him in any league in the world. So that was a special goal by Yusuf Maart. And of course, it was a game that I think Kaizer Chiefs did win that game. It was a game that really came at a time where things were a little bit tricky for us in the league. As is most of the time with Chiefs, things are always tricky with my FC. But that was an absolutely stunning goal. Another goal that I want to look at was one that I actually witnessed. I was at this game. Kabadinho Mango of Orlando Pirates at the time decides to show everyone in the arena and anybody watching the Soweto Derby that the reason why Pirates brought me here is this. And if you look at this goal, he bends it, right? He's a nifty player. He's a short guy. Short guys, the center of gravity. It's very difficult to mark, whatever. Somehow he gets around the defender. And then he bends it. I don't even think it's like Beckham. I don't know if it's like who. He bends that thing around Akpe. Akpe, I don't know what he was looking for there, but he couldn't find. It looked like he was looking for a suit in his cupboard and he was going through hanger by hanger. He couldn't find that goal. He couldn't find that ball. It went straight through him, and Mango scored a delightful goal. I think the score at that stage might have been 2-1 or 2-2. Might have been an equalizer. The final score was 3-2. And the reaction from Rulani Mukwena, who was the coach at the time, I mean, it was just one of the most stunning goals you could ever ask for in a derby. The quality, the technique, the presence of mind. I've never been a professional player. Me, I just play five-a-side with the guys. After 40 minutes, we are done. The engine is dead. But as a pro player, I'm sure you can attest that that is something special. In a high-stakes game, yes, it may be a league game, but it's still a Soweto Derby, and you just have a finish like that with so much aplomb is like, wow. So that goal for me is truly memorable. Like, wow. Another goal, and it pains me. It pains me to talk about this goal because I was there. I was there when I saw this goal. And this is a goal that I'm pretty sure was influenced by one of my favorite footballers of all time. In fact, my favorite footballer of all time, Lionel Messi. Because when Messi steps up to the penalty spot, he's either going to do this, that, or the Panenka. Even the original Panenka, the first player to have scored a penalty like that, I'm sure wherever he is, he's like, yeah, no. The photocopy looks better than the original. You know what I mean? That's something that we've accustomed with Messi doing. He does it for free anytime. He does it for nothing. You don't have to pay him after scoring a goal like that. So there I am at FNB Stadium. We're probably on the arse end of the game, maybe 89th minute, 90th minute, I don't even remember. Kaizer Chiefs against Orlando Pirates. It's packed to the rafters. In fact, so packed that I think there was a suspicion that some people got in with fake tickets. It was that kind of situation. And guess what happens? The referee, in his wisdom, decides to give Pirates a penalty because one of our players, Njabulo Blom, commits a foul in the box. And he had a shaky game that game. He had a shaky game. But that's what happened. And then Tito Maswanganyi, at the height of his career at Pirates right now, when he's like the star of the team, and everybody's chanting his name, hey, Tito. He steps up. He says, Veleg is ta. And then he steps up to the spot. Now, I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, Bruce Vuma, you're a good goalkeeper. I think you're really great. He's had a tough game. He was dizzy at some stage. I don't know if he was concussed or what happened. Didn't want to come off the pitch. They wanted to sub him. He's in the goal. He needs to save this penalty. He needs to save it. Otherwise, Chiefs lose. But not even he knew. Even if he had studied Tito Maswanganyi's penalties with the goalkeeper coaching team to say, no, Tito I don't even think he could have seen that coming. Hi. Nobody. If Messi was in the stadium, he was also not going to expect to see that. Tito Maswanganyi decides that, no, I've got nerves of steel. I'm going to step up to this thing. He scores a Panenka in a Soweto Derby. I mean, that is... I mean, I don't need to tell you which team I support, but as a football fan, I'm like, I have to bow down to that. That was magical. Nobody saw that coming. I think I was sitting next to a lot of Kaizer Chiefs fans who are sitting in the boxes there, and it just went quiet. But even as they were quiet, the whole stadium erupted. So it made no difference whether we were quiet or not. That was a magical goal. Now, often players are expected to do the basics in moments that can change the game. Like, man, just score. Don't whatever, just score. No. Tito's like, no, nista. Nakistan. I'm going to do this thing, and he does it. That, for me, is the coolest goal that I have seen in a Soweto Derby. Hi. Yes, you can argue. They want to argue with me, you can go argue with your grandmother, it's fine. But I don't see for a long time how anyone can rival a goal like that because of the situation in the game, the time of the game, what it would have meant had he not scored that goal. So I don't know if he can ever do it again. Like some beautiful things in life can never be repeated. Some strokes of genius can never be repeated. It's just like one of those things where it's done. So those are some of the goals that I thought were really top class in a Soweto Derby. And I'm hoping that we're going to see that level and that quality of goals, whether it's the long range shot because you are brave and audacious, whether it's the Panenka because you are Delela and you've got nerves of steel, whether it's the finesse because you just have it in you just have the technique. That's the kind of level that we need in a Soweto Derby. So imagine if we have a 6-goal thriller with goals like that. Like we're going to have the Soweto Derby trending in Europe with that kind of level of football and that kind of quality. So I'm hoping that that's what we're going to see. So ultimately, yes, I want goals, but I also want results. I also want to feel like I came, I saw, and I conquered, and I'm happy. And we don't always get the results we want with a derby. But I'd rather have a derby that has a result of somebody either winning or losing. Honestly, doesn't matter the situation on the log, than a derby where it's just a draw. And what do they say? A beautiful draw. There's nothing beautiful about a draw. There's nothing stunning, glamorous, wonderful about a draw. A draw is a draw is a draw. it's like, it's flat. That's it. It's got no movement. So I'd rather have a result where you either win or you lose. And if you don't agree with me, or maybe you do agree with me, drop your comments in the comment section, because I think one of the biggest debates about the derby is also like, who won? It was a beautiful draw. I've even heard commentators say this. I've heard analysts say this. And I'm just sitting there thinking, there's nothing beautiful about not. The only thing beautiful is that maybe a coach gets to keep his job because he didn't lose at a derby. But that's it. That's it. Nothing else. So I want to get to a stage where we stop glorifying games as beautiful draws. But we need a win or a lose. It doesn't matter who you support. Of course, you want to back your team, and you want to back your team to win. So the most important thing is the win. We've had many instances as Chiefs where we find ourselves somewhere in the log, number 9, number 11, number 7. But when a Soweto Derby comes up, that's a completely different picture. It doesn't matter where you sit. Right now, Pirates are at the summit of the log. Chiefs are in the top 5. But is that going to matter? Is that going to matter in a derby? Of course not. Of course not. Look what had happened when Pirates played against Sundowns just recently. Pirates is at the top. Sundowns is supposedly having their worst season. But in that Classico, Sundowns were like, we may be having a bad season, but we still own you. I may be having a bad season, but I'm still your father. And we saw what Sundowns did to Pirates, and convincingly so. So for me, a derby's result is important, and it doesn't matter the situation that any of the two teams find themselves in. The only thing that I'm worried about is momentum. Pirates have an excellent momentum. And in that scenario, which is the current situation, going into a big game like that is only an advantage. Chiefs don't have the momentum because we haven't been able to win games back-to-back in the last 3 or 4 games, back-to-back wins. We haven't. It's just getting knocked out of one cup and the next. It's like we get kicked out of everyone's house. It's bad. We don't want that. So Chiefs doesn't have the momentum. We don't have the momentum. Is that going to matter in a derby? Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. Maybe that's the only thing that matters, that can determine who's likely to win, as to who's got the momentum. So I would even go as far as saying that there are instances where in a Soweto derby, one of them is the underdog. One of them is the underdog, the little guy, the small guy. Someone is David, someone's Goliath. As much as you've got 2 titans, but in a derby, it can happen where someone is an underdog. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of us feel that Kaizer Chiefs is the underdog in the next derby because of recent results, because of the momentum. But nothing is sweeter than being an underdog, not having the momentum, having bad results back to back, getting kicked out of Ama Cup, and then you come and you just beat Pirates. That's it. One assignment. You've lost to Zamalek, you were hammered by Stellies. It's fine. Mara Pirates nyashaya. That's it. Nothing is sweeter than that. Or am I wrong? I know I'm right. Because that's the thing. And I'm pretty sure that if you're a Pirates fan, it's the opposite or exactly the same. You can have 5 games in a row where you haven't won. Draw, lose, whatever. But when it comes to the derby, you're shy Chiefs. That's the reality. So sometimes, yes, momentum plays a big part. Yes, recent results matter. But a derby is like a world of its own. It's its own animal. It's like its own Hulk. It transforms when it feels like it. It changes the complexion of any situation. So for me, it sometimes only matters what happens in that 90 minutes. You literally forget about everything else. Forget about hey, Stelly's, Gavin Hunt, hey, Wasenza Peas. You forget. You're just like, in a derby, Chiefs is going to show up. And it's going to be so sweet if Chiefs beats Pirates. It's going to be, because everybody's thinking, all right, we are done. Season is over. We only have the league to play for. And are we really going to win the league? Not so sure. not from where I'm sitting. But again, I mean, if you win a Soweto Derby, what does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean, okay, we're going to get the 3 points because it's a league game. But are we going to win the league? Is that result, if it's a win, going to change the tide for Kaizer Chiefs to say, oh, no, okay, like we're still in there. We're still here. Or is it just another result only to be disappointed in the next game when we play against another team and then we lose and then we draw and then lose, etc., and so on and so forth and stuff like that? Because it happens. If Pirates wins and they're top of the log, right, as we speak, are they going to win the league as a result? Is this the game? People spoke about the Sundowns game. Like, if Pirates wins this one, the league is out. Maybe that wasn't the game. Maybe Amadloos are like, no. Those are not your things. Your things are in gold and black. That's where you're going to get your things, in the derby. No, seriously, because it's 3 points. If they win, does that mean they get the league? Does it mean they're gone? And that they're not going to slip up and they're not going to drop their momentum? And I don't know. But winning the league comes with its own expectations, where people expect, whether you're a Chiefs or a Pirates, that the next few games you have to win because you beat one of the best teams in the league. Why are you going to draw with Magesi? Why are you going to lose against Richards Bay? No, you have to win. So there's expectation that comes even after the derby. And I wonder, and we'll have this conversation on another time on Watch Party, because, what happens after the derby? Form after the derby. You know what I'm saying? Does it improve, or is it just back to factory settings, like back to default? You know what I'm saying? So those are the things that I'm worried about as a Kaizer Chiefs fan, to say, even if we win, is that the moment? Is that the moment? I don't know. But what I do know is that the Soweto Derby, the Soweto Derby is the biggest thing. It is going to be the only thing that matters when it comes, when it lands. And nobody else is going to be looking at anything else. And what I do hope is that we want to get goals, and more goals. Not own goals, unless it's for us, unless it's in favor of Chiefs. Hopefully some hat-tricks and high-scoring games. And I'm hoping that after the game, you and I can come together again and talk about what happened and talk about all the action and see where things went right, where things went wrong, who should be fired, who must be sold, who must be loaned out, and who must be benched, because that's how that conversation goes. So stay with me on Watch Party FC. Lots of games to watch, lots of football to talk about, lots of things to look at that happen on the pitch, and I'll be right here with you. Don't forget to follow the channel, like and subscribe. You know the deal.